This summer solstice brings the launch of Synchronicity University. So excited about finally presenting you guys with a free, online, fully accessible data bank of astrology classes. You can watch lessons right now at synchronicityuniversity.com and of course my YouTube channel, nadiyashah.com. Hello, fabulous Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of July 2015, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month is a very important month for you. I mentioned it last month. I told you I'd be here to talk about it this month, and here we are. It's an important month for you personally, absolutely, and I spoke about this in the general focused horoscope, but it's also a really important month in love as well. And love is the focus right out of the gate. And this is thanks to a full moon happening in your opposite sign. Now, whenever there is important lunar activity taking place in your opposite sign, somebody's there. You better believe somebody's going to show up. Some experience will show up to help you understand yourself and to help you to see yourself differently as reflected in the eyes of another. Those of you in an established bond are going to find that that bond is not only asking for your attention, but in some key way is going through a shift in understanding and going through even a reinvention of sorts as well. Now, there is an element here with this particular full moon. It starts off really dreamy, really swept away, really inspired even. And this is great for love. This is great for romance all around. But what happens with this full moon is very quickly it gives way to some very strong intensity. It gives way to a very profound moment of truth. And it gives way to an appreciation of fate and how sometimes fate has some very strong plans and sometimes has its own plans that might feel or be different than our own on the surface. Now, this can work very much to our advantage. This can seem pleasing or not. But as I look at this sky, it does suggest that all Cancerians out there will be open to being swept up in love, likely will at least have somebody there who catches their fancy, but then have to come down to the reality of where there is fantasy and what the reality might actually be. So those of you in an established bond, it does look like there's some dream, there's some hope, there's some love moment that is allowing you to feel very swept away. But if there have been any issues that you haven't wanted to look at, that maybe you've been sweeping under the rug, if there's anything that really needs resolution, it is going to come up at this new moon, and it is going to bring about with it sort of a make or break moment, if you will. And once the truth comes forward, this can actually be a big turning point in your relationship, where you realize what fantasy is there, what hope is there, what promises are being made, and what is actually being demonstrated. Some Cancerians are going to find it works really well together. Some Cancerians are going to find that some of the ways in which they've been getting caught up in an energy, a fantasy, maybe even an illusion, actually was pessimistic compared to what they are experiencing now with the love that they have. And so it may be that the love you have will reveal itself to be much more genuine than you realized. But it may also be that where it is that maybe you might have been a little flirty or maybe have been, I don't want to say not honest, but where it is that you knew maybe you were connecting with somebody that maybe you shouldn't, maybe had a few messages exchanged, maybe it was perfectly innocent. But if you were doing something that you know you wouldn't want your partner doing, this is going to be the time when you admit it to yourself. And that's good because then you can change course. Those of you who are dating someone, I think that this whole idea of awakening to the reality of who this person is going to be that much more strong. It's going to be that much more about, okay, wow, I had so much hope with this person. Now let's look at who this person actually is. And again, this whole make or break moment is set to take place where there's really looking at the reality of who this person is. But I think also what may surprise you if you are dating somebody is the strong emotion, the strong feelings that do come up are about ultimately linking you that much closer, where you feel a sense of possessiveness that I actually think will surprise some Cancerians out there, but a very strong feeling of possessiveness might be there for you, and then that's going to be about you sort of deciphering that and saying, okay, what does this mean? Does it have to do with this person? Does it have to do with insecurity? Does it have to do with the fact that I really feel bonded to this person? And so that's going to be part of where your sacred learning is taking place in the context of this relationship. And those of you who are open to meeting somebody new, it does indicate it's going to go one of two ways, I'll tell you. I do think as I look at this that, again, as I said, there will be somebody there. It does look like there's some swept upness taking place. I also think as I look at this that it looks very like a very strong attraction, a very strong fatedness to it as well. A very powerful, maybe even consuming kind of attraction taking place with somebody new. But again, the reality of the situation might not be the fantasy. So it might be that there's a lot of romance and there's a lot of getting caught up in a moment, which is awesome, which can be fun. But then if you are having some expectations, or if you think this person is something that they, maybe are not, or haven't, stated clearly, or maybe they've been telling you they're not, but you haven't really wanted to see it, you are going to have that moment of truth following this full moon. And that will help you to get honest about it and help you make a more honest evaluation. Now, what you do with a very powerful attraction, ultimately, that's totally up to you. But when that moment does come, it ultimately says there's a lesson here. That's all it says. When you have a feeling, it's saying that there's a lesson there. Now, what you do with the feeling, totally up to you. But also how receptive the other person might be to the feeling also is about you being honest with yourself. What messages have they been sending you? Because it does look like you might be seeing a situation very idealistically. It might get a little bit caught up in a moment and then reality sets in, for better or for worse, okay? Now, do keep in mind also this month, Venus will begin to go retro. So all of us in some way will be looking at the past in love, understanding it differently, understanding ourselves. And love is going to be very much on the surface. Passion as well, the desire for passion very much on the surface. So with the developments that this full moon brings, I do feel that there isn't a finality to it, okay? Venus is in shadow as the month begins, goes retro before the month is out. So if you are one of those people and somebody new presents themselves to you early in the month, chances are, even if it feels like it just comes and goes, chances are it's not completely written just yet, okay? So you may have to let a little bit of time if any issues come up in the bond that you're in. Chances are they're not going to completely find their resolution. There's going to be some further developments, understandings to take place later on over the course of the summer as well. What I love about this month for you is that there is a focus and understanding that love is a part of life. Now, yes, all of us are going to be going through this understanding, but you've got tremendous cosmic support for actually experiencing this in the context of a one-on-one connection. There is going to be somebody there to help you see yourself with a fresh perspective. And I do think that if it is a perspective that opens your heart, if it is a perspective that allows you to see yourself with a more open heart, then it is well worth the effort.